Good afternoon, everyone. It's Brenda Rogers here, and I have with me this afternoon someone who I met recently who also looks after women in that 45 to 55 age range and a bit beyond, right, Sonya?
Yep.
Sonya Lovell, she is a fitness professional here in Sydney, based in Sydney, and welcome, Sonya.
Thank you, Brenda. It's absolutely wonderful to be here. Thank you for inviting me in for a chat.
You are most welcome. And we're going to have a chat about fitness for women over 40 and perhaps even over 50, because it does change and shift. And also, as I've been learning from Sonya, it helps to have a healthy perspective on the whole reason that you're exercising in the first place. So we're going to have a chat about that. But first, Sonya, would you mind telling us a little bit about your menopause story, where you're at in the process, and some of the challenges that you've encountered?
Absolutely. So my menopause story is a little bit different to most, but also although I experienced many of the same symptoms as many women do. So I was actually diagnosed with breast cancer back in 2017. So I was 47. And it was my breast cancer was estrogen and progesterone fueled. So as a result, I had surgery, I had chemotherapy, I had radiotherapy, and I then went on to hormone managing medication afterwards, which I'm still on today. When I was partway through my chemotherapy, basically, I started getting all of the same symptoms as you would if you were going through perimenopause. However, for me, it was a little bit like I got hit by the menopause bus, and it ran over me. It reversed back a few times before it took off and left me in a post-menopausal state, dealing with a breast cancer diagnosis and chemotherapy and radiotherapy. Yeah, so
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And in my research, I found that the chemical induced menopause is way more tricky, because in normal menopause, there is a gradual process and an adaptation that we have psychologically as well. But when you have chemical induced menopause, it's bang. It's
it is literally bang. And I was 47. My periods hadn't changed. Was not anywhere near. I was probably in perimenopause, but didn't realize. But I certainly didn't have any symptoms that made me think that I was, close to going through menopause. And I basically had my last period, I think it was like the week that I got home from surgery, and I've never had a period since. And 12 months later, my obstetrician my gynecologist, my oncologist, so many specialists. My oncologist put me through all the panel screening to check all my hormone levels and everything, and I was well and truly done and on the other side of menopause. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So what were some of the challenges for you then?
Oh gosh. The hot sweats, that particularly at night, like there have been many, or there was, that's not so bad now, there were many nights where I would literally wake up in the night and the sheets would be so wet that I would have to wake my husband up. Sorry, honey, you got to get up. I need to change the sheets. That was brutal. That was really brutal. That loss of being able to control my body temperature, and also I can't drink white wine anymore because it has exactly the same effect on me. So I have a glass of white wine and I just feel, and it starts on my head and it just goes down through my entire body, and it's like literally instantaneous.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that story, because there's a subset of our population here in my group anyway that have either a fear of breast cancer or have experienced it, or a mother that's experienced, or a sister.
Yeah.
And what positive advice could you give around having gone through that and being where you're at now?
So a couple of things for women that are in a similar situation to me. So I obviously haven't been able to use any hormone replacement therapies. I haven't been, I have to be really careful with natural therapies as well to treat my symptoms, because anything that's estrogen mimicking in my body is a problem for me moving forward. So for women in that situation, I think the advice that I would have is be really open with your specialist and your GP, and talk constantly to them about any symptom that you have. I mean, the brain fog for me was another one that was huge. Like, I'm a very articulate person, both, my written communication as well as my ability to hold a conversation. I went from being somebody that was a confident speaker to, in the probably 12 months post my going into menopause and my treatment, I would probably forget every third or fourth word in my sentences. And that was mortifying for me. And I didn't tell anybody about it because I thought it was part of chemo, but I've now learned that it's actually a really common menopause side effect as well. So I guess it is anything that you're noticing that's changing in your health, in your body. Speak to somebody, ask questions, because it's not a conversation that we're having often enough. The doctor's not likely to ask you the right questions. So we've really got to bring this out into the open, and we've got to be brave enough to have those conversations and ask for help when we need it.
Well, I think also one of the things that I'm discovering now, specializing in this area, is that we need to distinguish between what's a healthy menopause and what's an unhealthy menopause. And then if you have a complication, like you've got treatment on top of that, what could be a hormonal or a menopausal symptom, and what could be a chemotherapy symptom, or something else symptom. There's a lot of more to be done to find out what's going on here, to give people the answers. But I will say that we're fortunate in having a lot of things in the natural medicine world that are supportive, that help block unhealthy estrogen, that help remove unhealthy estrogen from the body. And even though there's some misinformation in the medical world about these natural medicines, there's a lot of really good substance to the safety around, estrogenic herbs or that kind of thing, for people like yourself as well. So, but you really need to see a practitioner and a herbalist.
Absolutely. Yep.
So let's talk about, because you're a fitness professional, fitness trainer, and do you specialize in this 40 plus space?
Yeah. So my background is, I've actually been a personal trainer for over 12 years now. So I was a personal trainer before my diagnosis. I've now come back as a personal trainer. And I came back specifically to work with women 40 plus or 35 plus. So in that perimenopausal, menopausal phase and stage of life, I feel very strongly that it is a sector of the population that is being left behind by the fitness industry. I think that, there is so much need there for working with somebody who is empathetic, who is understanding, who is able to be flexible and understand when, you've had a terrible night's sleep because you've had the hot sweats and, your brain's going a million miles an hour, and, maybe you're trying some new HRT or some new herbal supplements, and it's all a bit Goldilocks like, but you still want to go to your exercise session, so you turn up, but you really don't have 100% to give, and you need a trainer that is really able to be there and go meet you where you're at on that day, and work with where you're at, as opposed to where they want to take you.
Yes. And why that age group? Is it, I kind of know the answer to this question, but is it different to, as we age, I suppose here's a better question. What are the concerns or the priorities that we have to be aware of for the percentage of the population that really love fitness, that maybe the athletes who are listening to this, or the ones who really want to manage their weight, even by maybe even slightly over exercising, let's talk through some of the concerns and the issues and the priorities for people like that.
Absolutely. So from my point of view, the most important thing that women need to be making sure that they're working on from a fitness perspective is that they are creating and preserving lean muscle mass. So our muscle mass declines by 3 to 5% per decade in active people. So once you're in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, that muscle mass is declining significantly if you're not an active person, or even if you are an active person but you have predominantly done cardio. And look, as women, the term cardio queen wasn't coined by accident. There has been a significant, and I was guilty of this for many years, that my going to the gym was literally to do spin classes. That was it. That was how I managed my weight. That was how I got my high from my exercise. But we need to be very aware as women that as we age, it becomes more important to create and maintain that lean muscle mass.
And what's going to happen I imagine that 3 to 5% then is a relatively normal decline, because we're becoming lighter and that kind of thing as we age. What do you see women struggling with, the ones who are maybe doing the cardio queens? How do you work with someone who's, that's my high, that's my drug?
Yeah, and look, and if I don't take that away from people by any stretch of the imagination, but what we need to bring in is a balance of 2 to 3 strength-based training sessions a week that supplement your cardio. If that's your absolute passion and your high, then nobody should ever take that away from you. But it's a matter of bringing into it to support it, some resistance-based training, some strength-based training, and the benefits from that are. One of the things that I really like to talk to women about in this age group is that your midlife is a period of time where you get the opportunity to eliminate some of the key risk factors that you might experience when you're in your 60s. So, women don't realize this, but falls are a major health concern for people over 65, and women are at a greater risk of falls. But building and maintaining your body strength and your balance as you age, it reduces that risk of falling and the injuries that are associated with it. So as much as no one in their 40s wants to start thinking about what life's going to be like when they're in their 60s, it's really important to lay down the foundations now to ensure that you can be that happy, healthy 100-year-old that we all, aim to be.
Yes. Well, and it's the same with, the stress levels. And this is where exercise can help as well. Overly being burnt out and overly stressed sets you up poorly for the menopausal change as well. So I think you're saying, and I'm agreeing, that us women need to have a little bit of a foresight, a little bit of thought about the future at this age, particularly.
Absolutely. And then there are the other benefits that come from strength training, which are, there's research backed up to show that when you strength train, you feel more confident in your body, you feel more comfortable in your body. You get different hormone highs from strength training. The mental health aspect, of strength training has been proven. So it's literally just considering bringing in an extra piece into your life, if it's something that you haven't done previously, that just comes with nothing but benefits.
Yes. So as far as weight goes, for the women in the audience, maybe putting on a little bit of weight in their late 40s, or it's around the middle, the waistline, what can you speak to that?
Yeah, so that's a conversation I constantly have in my gym and with my clients. And you know this, and we talk about this constantly as health professionals. What that is, we are going to gain a little bit of weight as we age, and as our hormone profile changes, that weight is shifted to where it's stored in the body, and our abdomen is, the visceral fat becomes where we store our fat in our body, and you can't change that. You're genetically profiled to carry weight in particular parts of your body, and so I really like to promote a coming to a place where you can love and be happy with your body as it is, without the constant need to want to try and change it. And understand, and I wrote a blog about this, which has actually been one of my most popular blogs, and that is that the body that you had when you were 30 is not the body that you're going to have when you're 50. The body you have at 50 is not going to be the body that you have at 70. And I've had a couple of clients where I've had conversations where they've come to me and they're in their 40s and but I don't look like I did before I had kids. And I'm like, okay, so let's step that back a little bit. When you were 20, did you want to look like you did when you were 10? And they're like, oh my God, no, of course not. Why would I want to do that? And I'm like, so why at 40 do you want to look like you did when you were 30? And I do actually understand the psychology behind why we do want to look like that. And, that comes down to, unfortunately, social media marketing, the beauty industry, the fitness industry, all of that play a horrendous role in why we want to look a particular way. But when you think about it rationally, the human body isn't designed to look at 50 like it did when you were 20.
No. I do have to say that I experience and have been guilty of this myself, a lot of denial at, that river in Egypt.
I know it well.
Around, no, I'm not getting older. No, I'll just, no. It's understandable. It's completely understandable.
Especially in the society that we live in, yes. But there are some cultures that have such a completely different outlook on menopause, and the Japanese culture is one where I think that I don't know exactly what the wording is, but they refer to menopause as like I think it's your second summer or something like that. Spring. There you go. I knew I wouldn't get it right. But yeah, they just flipping it from being, this, the language that we use around menopause, is just so damaging to people's expectations of what they're going to experience and then how they perceive their experience during menopause. But if we can flip that and we can look at it as an opportunity to really step into this wise woman that has all these incredible life experiences under her belt, and commonly by then we've been parents and we've had our children and they've potentially left home and they've gone on to live their own lives, and it's I really see it as an opportunity to embrace that next chapter of my life, and and I wish that I could get everybody to be as excited about stepping into this wiser woman role than some are.
And that's why we're doing this. That's why we're having these conversations, these wise conversations. So we've got another couple of minutes or so, Sonya. I know that you also advocate exercise that isn't exercise. Tell us about that.
So yes, this is very scientifically proven. So this is not me just having something else to advocate for. But I'm a big fan of what we call NEAT in the fitness industry, and NEAT stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Now, when it comes to weight loss, so going back to what we were talking about before, if you are someone that is trying to achieve weight loss, it's really important to understand that your NEAT throughout a day is actually more important in when it comes to your body's ability to lose weight than working out. So what that means is you could come and see a trainer like me, and you could do an hour in the gym at 7 a.m. in the morning. But if you then go home and you sit at your desk for the rest of the day, because you're working from home like many of us are now, and then you sit on the lounge of an evening and watch TV, that workout that you did in the morning, you may as well have not done. Yeah, you got
really?
some benefits from a weight loss perspective. I know, sorry. So your NEAT is actually more important when it comes to weight loss. Now, how you get your NEAT throughout the day is your activity that's not, so it's the calories burned from activity that's not linked to organized activity. So not a workout, for example, or going and playing sport in the evening. But what it comes from is walking the dog, walking to the shops, cooking in the kitchen on your feet. When you're on the phone, getting up and putting headphones on and pacing around the room as opposed to sitting in your chair having your conversations. Having a little dance if your favorite song comes on the radio. You know, I'm one of those people that if I'm in the car and I've got music on, I'm tapping my fingers on the steering wheel, and, you know, I might have a little bit of an upper body boogie. That is all burning calories. So as much of that activity as you can get throughout the day, combined with a workout in the morning at the end of the day, whenever you prefer to exercise, that is how you can have a bit of a win with weight loss.
Wow. Well, it gets very strategic, doesn't it?
It does. It's all scientific at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you know, it has to be that way, because 2 years ago we weren't really having that conversation about all of us sitting in front of Zoom all day, but now we are. So
we are, and we will be for quite some time to come. You know, unfortunately, this is, you know, our new normal for a little while. So we need to adapt, and we need to know what we can do to adapt to keep ourselves healthy and well.
Well, thank you so much, Sonya, and for our listeners, or watchers, this is Sonya Lovell, and her website is sonyalovell.com.au.
No .au, so just sonyalovell.com.
All right, thank you very much.
Aiming for a global market.
Good on you, girlfriend. And if you're watching this in the Menopause Lounge, this is where we went live. But if you're not watching this in the Menopause Lounge, then say on LinkedIn or YouTube, somewhere else, then please head on over to Facebook to join us at the Menopause Lounge so you can join in on the conversation, this and many others similar. And Sonya, I hope that you'll come back and visit us again another time, because there's more to chat about, there's more to learn, and with the questions that we're gathering from having these conversations, I'm sure there's more we can talk about. So
absolutely. And look, I'm a proud member of your Menopause Lounge, so if anybody in there has any questions, feel free to tag me, and I will I'll reach out and have a chat.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brenda.